Yeah, the call wild's always bringing me home. Call wild's always bringing me home. Call wild's always bringing
All right,
me
great. Well, hello,
home.
wild ones, and welcome to another episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. I am so excited to have my lovely friend Shannon O'Brien here with me today of Bright Buoy Diving, and yeah, I'm really glad that we met on a trip to Mexico. I guess like a couple months ago now, although it doesn't feel that long ago. With the Ocean Gals. So shout out to the Ocean Gals. But yeah, we met in Baja, Mexico on a free diving trip. And we've just had this beautiful connection, and I'm so excited to have you on today and that you made the time to come on and to share your story.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah, of course. So I would love to start off with is your amazing backstory. So we were just kind of briefly talking about it before we came on, but you started freediving fairly recently. So maybe if you want to share a little bit about your story about how you got into that.
Yeah, absolutely. So about 2 years ago, well, I'd moved to Hawaii, so surrounded by water. And my entire life, in my adult life, I had traveled quite a bit, and I still loved the ocean at the time, but I had a fear of swimming and being in open water, especially. But yeah, it kind of stems just from childhood. I was never really taught to formally swim. And I think there were some struggles as a child to swim well. And so I just decided to not do it. And that carried through my adulthood. And there was even a little bit of anxiety around water. So I would just, get up like waist high and kind of doggy paddle. I remember my sisters being like, "What? Why can't you like swim?" Because they were captain of their swim team, and 8 years younger than me. So they were just like, "Why? You're my older sister. Why can't you swim?" So yeah, it just carried with me my whole life. And then being surrounded by water, now living here in Oahu, it was just super important for me to overcome that. And I was just mentally ready to
Yeah.
overcome that kind of block. So I didn't know where to begin. And so one morning, 5 a.m., I'll never forget it. I was driving to the North Shore, signed up for a shark dive, and just decided to go to the most extreme way to immerse
Wow.
myself. And so I went with Hawaii Adventure Diving, amazing, skilled group. But the whole time I did hold on to this rope. And I remember not, kind of panicking in the water, and yeah, it was an experience. But once I put my head underwater and saw the sharks, it was just this complete calm, and it was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. So I was like, you know what? I'm inspired. I'm really going to learn. And yeah, then I signed myself up for a freediving course with Josh Munoz here on island, and it was a level 1, and I had no idea. I remember I even put my wetsuit on backwards, and the girls were so nice. They were like, "Hey, the string goes in the back," and I was like, "Okay." But
Thank
all of
you.
it was new to me, and I had a couple panic moments out there, and just didn't think I was really close to just getting back on the boat and being done. But the instructor was really great about coaching me through it and saying, like, you can do this, and really, really putting us in a position to complete the course. And so I dropped and hit about 40 feet on my last day, and then
Wow.
got certified. So after that is really where the passion kind of grew. And so after that moment, I was like, you know what? I overcame it in my head to say, yes, you can do this. And then I just became kind of obsessed with diving and free diving. And that's kind of how it all began. And there was a time where I would do it every single day of my life.
Wow.
So yeah,
Wow.
the last 2 years have definitely been a journey.
Yeah, it's, honestly, it's so incredible. And like just hearing that story about how, like, I love that you kind of just went for the deepest, like, because I think sometimes it's an interesting thing, fear, right? Like, if you almost sometimes, for people, if you do it gradually, it actually makes it worse because you keep thinking about it. So to like kind of rip the Band-Aid off,
Yeah.
and just like go right in is really cool. And you went straight to like, wow, look at how beautiful and calm it is underwater. And I love that that's what kind of drew you in to
Yeah.
it. I don't know, it's just like I'm so proud of you too. Like it's just amazing. And I think it just goes to show that like you can always conquer your fear or do something new, like, and it's just incredible, and I'm like so happy that you found this path and that we got to meet through it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was really kind of striking about the journey for me was I have two daughters, young daughters, and I didn't want to pass on the same thing that was passed to me, which is fear of water. And I
Yeah.
think there was a time where my daughters were a little anxious in the water, probably from just observing me. But now full circle, I have a daughter, she's 7 years old, that free dives. She's going on her first excursion back to Mexico this year. So
Oh my
I
gosh.
think it empowers them to not learn some of the things from me that I just didn't want to pass down. And that's been the most rewarding part of the journey.
Yeah, and it's so powerful, right? I think that we could probably relate in the sense that like our children are kind of like our biggest, not only support, but like, they help us get over things that we didn't even realize. Like we almost need that push from them. Like they're our inspiration to keep going and to lead by example, right? Which is, I think, the best way to show that to your kids. So,
Yeah,
and
percent.
I love that your daughter is so fearless now and like is loves the ocean just like you do. And I can't wait to see her in Mexico through you, exploring. That's so cool.
Yeah, she's passionate beyond. So it's pretty funny, actually.
Oh, that's so beautiful. So I love that that was your start and that you were so brave and like now you found a passion out of it. How did you decide to start your business Bright Buoy through that?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. I mean, sometimes I'm in a whirlwind myself, wondering how did this start? But for me, I have a background in supply chain and in supply chain strategy. So when I look at product, I always wonder, how did it get here? Or if I see a gap in the market, it's like, well, why couldn't this be here? Right? Those are the two questions I just naturally have been trained to ask myself with the industry that I've been in for many years. And so with diving, kind of similarly, I looked at certain categories and just kind of asked, well, what if? And specifically for weight belts and for weights. So I started with dive weights and just trying to match. I spent a lot of time on my gear. And as divers, we do spend a lot of time trying to find the right gear, the right quality. We want to make sure it fits right, that it's functional at depth. There's just so many elements that can help build your equipment, especially as you learn more and more about diving or you learn your style and what you're comfortable with. Um, so through that process of just procuring my own equipment, I had run into a couple obstacles where they're just for weights. There was really just an uncoated selection. And where there was coated weights, there was kind of a roughness to them. It just wasn't aesthetically what I was looking for. And then I started to kind of scour the market and figure out where do these exist, right? And how do I pair it with my belt? There was kind of a hunt going on where I would say, okay, here's some dive belts, and I would take a look at them and the materials. There were things that I loved, but maybe not that, maybe not what I was seeking in all in one belt. And then the rest
Sure.
of the scavenger hunt was, okay, now that I have my belt, how do I find weights that are paired with them, not only to look aesthetically beautiful, but to just be functional. And I was boating a lot, so uncoated weights can kind of corrode on a boat, and
Mhm.
they can tarnish your suit that we spend so much money on our wetsuit. So there's just a
Right.
whole, to me, it was a supply chain project to begin with, but it was my own personal one. And
Yeah.
so when I started to look at these categories, I just thought, okay, I've scoured the marketplace looking for weights. Yes, there are a couple options, but not the full gambit of what I was looking for. So then I started to look at that as a category that just needed improvement. And I get super analytical and passionate about these things. So I know I'm talking about it through the lens of supply chain. But as a diver, I just started to think of, what could be created. And so it just kind of took me down this path of, well, let me figure out lead molding. And let me start at the beginning. Where do we source lead from? And so I went through that entire exercise of how do we get raw materials? How do we find recycled materials? How do we get them to Hawaii? So it was literally kind of a puzzle piece. But then more importantly is once I got past that point, lead molding sounds super intimidating, but it's really just an art form of how to create the right rounded edges on a mold. How do we create the right loophole so that the weights don't slip on a belt? How do we create the material on a belt, such as silicone, which is what I use? 100% silicone is kind of more tactile, it's stickier, it'll hold the weight in place. So I just started looking at all of the important elements of what would create just a rock star category for weights and belts, and then started to figure out how to make it.
Wow, that's absolutely incredible. And I feel like even when we first met and I started hearing and listening about this, I was like, wow, I had no idea, first of all, the intricacies. But what I personally love about your story is that multiple things can come together. And I think I've talked about this before on the podcast, but like how people don't necessarily, they're in a job or a field that they don't necessarily think maybe or maybe they do think they're going to be in long term, but then they find something that they're passionate about, and both of those things actually combine, and that you're able to use your expertise from that previous job and put it into something that, like, your heart and soul is calling you to do, is really incredible. And I love that you just, like, you have your own unique vision on how to bring these pieces and levels of how to make the products inwards. So and I'm really excited to get to the recycling portion of that. But I know even just finding the artisans to teach you the lead was a big thing for you, that we were talking about a little bit in Mexico. So maybe if you want to start with that too.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I agree with everything you just said, by the way. And so you don't just learn lead molding out of nowhere, right? And you
Right.
don't finding the tools, finding the safety and efficacy of doing it, finding the sustainability and repeatability of being able to then code it. There's a lot of
Right.
complexities that go along with it. So I had talked to many suppliers about how can we do this? And what I learned is that there was one, and they were based in Oregon. They were kind of known as these like just experts, high stake divers,
Wow.
doing these. They were featured on Impossible Jobs. I don't know if you've ever
Oh,
seen that
cool.
show. I had never seen it
Yeah.
until I met but like just really highly skilled at like molding and lead and diving. So I partnered with them and basically brought them to Hawaii to live with me. Amazing human beings. And so these
Wow.
two brothers kind of spent a lot of time with me and with my family to help us really grasp 40 years of experience and
Wow.
to be able to leverage them as experts to kind of fit the vision that I was taking my company to, but to provide some of that expertise that no textbook or no other self-learning could have given me. So it was quite a gift to work with them. And I would say they were beyond mentors because they had just handled some of the most interesting and complex jobs. We're talking about like fixing infrastructure and in underwater and being in tanks for 18 hours,
Wow.
fixing things and drilling and just these things that were so inspiring. So I was able to kind of partner with them to further my expertise in what I was doing as a foundation. But then I was able to feel a little bit more confident in being able to run with my direction, which was completely different than what they had done in their careers. So it was kind of a beautiful, beautiful just arrangement between the two of us to kind of share knowledge. And I definitely think I gained more from them than they probably did from me, but it was great.
Wow, that's so beautiful to like have that connection, and they sound like really incredible guys too, to
Yeah.
be able to know their skill really well, and to to do these impossible feats underwater. It's just
Yeah.
absolutely amazing, and I'm really glad that you were able to learn from them, because it's very hard to just, I think, with something so skill based like that, to be able to just like pick that up on your own is probably almost close to impossible. I'm sure you could do it, but
Yeah.
especially when you want to start a business and everything like that, I'm glad that you had some those guys to lean on to teach
Definitely.
you the way.
Well, there's a scientific element to this too, right? And
Yeah.
I think that um, the main thing when you start a new business that can maybe hold you back from your idea is just confidence and believing in yourself. And of course, you need all the other things, like it needs the
Sure.
plan and just there's a lot. I don't want to just say all you need is this one thing is believing in yourself, but I will say that's really at the top. Because the first thing that I did personally was just really question my ability. Like, I've done this supply chain career for a very long time. I felt so comfortable. You could throw any problem at me in that arena and I could probably solve it. But in
Right.
this arena, it just felt so new and I would question myself. And I think seeking advice from experts is always good. Finding a mentorship that works, where you have somebody that might have 30 more years of experience in the trade or whatever it is, and just building that relationship and asking questions and really finding out what were lessons learned in their own journey. Those kind of things
Yeah.
can help you out. And for me, it was just building confidence in this area. And yeah, I think after kind of all of the due diligence I did, I just kind of betted on, you know what, the only thing you needed to do to finalize this to move forward is start betting on yourself a little bit and just go. And so that's
Yeah.
kind of when I went full steam ahead.
That's amazing. Yeah. And honestly, I mean, I see your products, and like, I'm just getting into free diving myself, and I absolutely love them. I think that even like the colors and the way that they fit, like you said, we could see them in the background too, are
Yeah.
really just beautiful. In between those steps, that there's much more like hands-on physical things that have to be focused on, like you said, that lead up to probably how much time it takes to actually start to finish, right?
Yeah. I think the biggest challenge is again, like just materials and manufacturing on an island. And a lot of
Yeah.
people could have asked me as I'm partnering with new accounts and business partners that want dive shops that want to stock our products. The challenge sounds like getting product to an island, but I think that's what we perfected.
Mhm.
Logistically, that's where I spent a lot of time in the beginning when I asked myself, could it be done? Right? Because manufacturing a product on an island can be very hard, especially when lead is very dense and very heavy. So logistically, how do we then um,
Right.
disperse it and sell it? So that was kind of a big question, but that part was solved very early on, and so we have no issue. We ship all over the United States,
Wow.
and the cost is the same to ship from Ohio to Chicago. So we perfected what that whole piece of it, and once I had that check mark, I was like, yes, it can be done. And so that those are the complexities that had to be worked out before the process I just defined. But yeah, that's it.
Yeah. That makes sense though, because you think also with weights and obviously how heavy they are, right? Because they're per pound and everything like that. That's good that you found a way to make sure that like the shipping doesn't like eat up all your business, right? Because I'm
Yeah.
sure that that could be something that unfortunately could be really easy to happen if you don't know, like you said, you did your research and doing and making sure that that was taken care of beforehand. So hello, wild ones. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. I have some exciting news. This April 2026, me and Dr. Carla Ionescu are taking a couple of lucky people to Greece this year. It is going to be about the goddess Artemis. So all about the goddess of the wilderness, the forest. We're going to be doing amazing things like exploring her ancient sites where she's worshipped, like Goron and Eleusis, Patras, and a couple of other places, as well as doing archery and clay making.
So I hope that you're enjoying this episode. Check out the link in the description for more information, and we would love to see you there. Enjoy the rest of the episode.
Hi, Wild Ones. I hope you're enjoying this episode of the Find Your Wild podcast. This episode is sponsored by my clothing brand, FemmeSauvage, and you can find a discount code and link in the description. So check it out. We have a lot of amazing designs, and $5 of the proceeds goes to different charities. So please feel free to check it out and enjoy the rest of the episode. Thanks so much. We went to Mexico together, which was a beautiful, insanely amazing trip. I think that we were really blessed with what we saw there and all the beautiful people we connected with there too. What's like on your bucket list for other places that you want to go and free dive?
Yeah, I think about that all the time, probably way too often. Where do I want to go next? And
Yeah.
so I've traveled a lot in my life, but it was all land, right? Like it was
Yeah.
land travel, which is amazing. And I'm not saying I didn't see any oceans or didn't travel by boat at all, but I wasn't looking at a location and connecting with the water of that location. And
Yeah.
so I feel I'm finding myself revisiting places like the Galapagos, for instance. I spent some time in the Galapagos a decade ago, and it's like,
Um,
wow, I went there and didn't even see the ocean. I wasn't under the water, so what a miss. And so I'm going back through my list of places I've been in, so many places I want to go, but I'm kind of
yeah.
reliving. I'm like, how can I go back and see to me, the most important part that was missed. So that's kind of an interesting thing to just
Yeah.
think of, okay, I was in Greece and didn't dive. What
Right.
was I thinking? If only I had that skill at the time, but now I can go back and maybe see it from a different perspective. And bringing my daughter on the next excursion, we're doing Sardine Run.
Oh,
Um,
amazing.
yeah, which is it was Solmar is the group, which will be amazing. And they've allowed my daughter to go. So being a 7-year old, she's training really hard, trying to hold her breath beyond 30 seconds. She's just really going through the motions. And I think we've got her at a place where it's a short enough time. It's like a 4-day trip
Yeah.
where she can be immersed in it and she can definitely do it. And so that's super exciting for me to take her on the next excursion, which is in December.
That's really exciting. I can't wait to see pics and videos, and I know that she'll do amazing. And I remember from when we were in Mexico and hearing about the sardine run. I don't think I can make it this year, but definitely on the future bucket list, trip ideas for sure. And were
Yeah,
you just in
I think we'll go
Fiji?
together again sometime.
Please, please. Yeah, I don't I've been dreaming about Baja ever since, honestly. Like if it weren't for like my child, I was like, I feel so content here. Like this is like amazing. Oh, and my hubby, obviously. Um, but it was like literally like just so beautiful and peaceful, and I was like having the best time. It was such a great mom break and like life break, and to be in they call it the aquarium of the world was just unbelievable.
Yeah, I bet just going back, you know, to your family too. For me, I was re-energized as well. And just Mexico
Yeah.
is such a beautiful place. Beautiful country.
Yeah. And that was my first time in Mexico too. So I had a beautiful time. I definitely want to explore more of Mexico too. But yeah, I mean, we saw like amazing animals while we were there, right? Like we even got to see orcas, which was unbelievable. Yeah, I feel like the obviously like the orcas were probably one of my favorite parts of that trip, but I really enjoyed like the sea lions and just looking at like all the little fish too in the reefs, and we got to see so many whales. It was just like dream of like trip of a lifetime. So I'm looking forward to the day when we can go back together.
I keep thinking, take us back. Take us back. Every
Yeah.
Monday, take us back. Yeah, it was an epic trip.
Yeah, and you were just in Fiji, was it?
Tahiti, Maria.
Oh, Tahiti, yeah. And you got to swim with humpback whales there.
Yeah, that was my first time ever going to Tahiti. And funny little side note, I did carry 120 pounds of product to Tahiti. So that was awesome. It was like a business
Wow.
trip in a way, but yeah, I met with 16 people to provide product to some of the local
Great.
divers there. It was really awesome. So that was kind of the main premise. But of course, it's once you're there, why not see whales? So no, I went on a week-long excursion with Rachel Moore as the host. It was absolutely
Wow.
beautiful. I mean, the whales were incredible. I will say the humpbacks were such a highlight, but sperm whales was the best moment I had, just being right in front of a sperm whale. So
Wow.
big, almost like a train once they start moving through the water, and just
Wow.
absolutely beautiful. So that was the highlight of that trip.
Wow, that's so cool. I feel like sperm whales are really, really cool too, and how big they are. I think that was the one thing that was cool when we saw the orcas underwater was you don't realize how big they are. Like even when I was like looking back at videos of like the baby and underwater, I was like, that's the baby. That it's that's a big baby, you know?
Yeah.
And with, obviously like the sperm whales, they're even bigger than that. Did you feel like were they talking at all? Did you feel them when you were underwater?
They hear the clicking. So they do
Mhm.
like the clicking underwater. And so the clicking would just kind of echo through your body, you know? So that
Yeah.
part was like the whole experience was amazing. And then with humpbacks, we were able to dive and not really see because they were pretty deep, but hear
Mhm.
the
Wow.
singers as well, which is really cool. So yeah, whales are so special, and kind of what you're saying with orcas, it's unreal. You almost have to take a minute to even process what you just saw. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's life-changing, really.
Yeah. And it's just I saw something online the other day that was really cool that something about when you're in the water with the whales and they start talking and the vibrations go through you. I saw something that it's like supposed to really help with like your like if you have any emotions stuck inside of you because the vibrations kind of move through your body and help to release that. If I find it again, I'll send it to you, but it was really powerful. And I think it made a lot of sense too of like how we, I think, associate whales with being obviously like they dive really deep, right? And just being like really deep emotional animals and having feeling that vibration and that resonating, I guess, with like moving emotions through your body. I could see how those things correlate, you know? So I wanted to get back to asking you about why you chose to use silicone over other materials.
Yeah, our belts are so the reason I chose silicone for our belts, and we tested other materials like rubber, which actually are very nice, the way that they hold color. The reason we selected silicone is first of all, it's extremely durable. So if you remember on the boat in Mexico, all six of us girls were like pulling at some of my final samples, and it's super stretchy. It gives like a nice stretch to it. So when it's around your waist and we tighten our belts, it's just soft and comfortable. So I love the look and feel of silicone. It also just holds pigment so beautifully. You have to work a little harder to develop those pigments, but once they're right, it'll keep that pigment forever. And it's just really beautiful the way it holds color, but also in saltwater. Saltwater is an extremely aggressive environment for dive equipment, as we know. And so
Yeah.
over time, rubber can stiffen and it can crack. And so I wanted a material that didn't crack in salt water. And so what I love about these silicone belts is you can use them, just spray them with water, rinse them off, and they're just as beautiful as when you first purchased them. And I spent some time developing the buckle as well. So the buckle is made out of stainless steel. I wanted all components to do well in a saltwater environment. So that's kind of why I went with both of those materials for our belts.
And also, just as like a consumer, I love that if I'm going to be purchasing something, I love that it's going to be able to last like and be really durable and last a really long time. And there's something really awesome about the sustainability aspect of that as well. Just being able to not having to constantly replace something because it's getting corroded by salt water, that we can have it last longer, and it maintains its beauty too, right? Because they're just also really beautiful. And I didn't even realize that. I thought that you had already had the weight belts out, and I didn't even realize that they were just like still your final testers when we were down in Mexico. So that kind of feels really cool that we were there while you were still working them out and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll make you laugh. Like there's a lot of testing that can be done in a very concise way, but sometimes the best way to test is to get diver feedback. So we're very collaborative in making sure that, what do people like about this, and what are the things that people might not like about it. There's maybe not a one size fits all for every product, but it's nice to know that feedback and then to try to make a final product that really does improve the dive experience. And so that's why just testing in the water, testing with divers, you want to pull my belts apart, let's do it. I know for the fin case, people ask me, I developed this long fin case for travel, and that kind of came out of my own experience of having my beautiful fins destroyed once via travel when I was told last minute I had to check it after carrying on. But we did like official drop testing where there was a simulation of almost 300 flights to give a statistical analysis of failure. But what we did here is I also threw it down the stairs and like beat the crap out of it just to see like, well, how durable is it? I'm going to just toss it down the stairs, and send it out on multiple dive excursions and get feedback. And yeah, it's really helping me develop my process to use that standard testing process, but then beyond, how do divers perceive it? Because it doesn't matter what a piece of paper shows us. It's how does it actually work in the environments that we're in, which can be completely unpredictable. And that's the fun part for me, is trying to solve those sort of problems and capture that data and transform that into the finished good. So it's been pretty fun. I know my husband's asked me, like, why are you tossing something down flights of stairs? And I'm like, well, just don't ask any questions, But no, it's been a really fun process and very interactive. Yeah, very interactive feedback over here. And that's what I wanted. That's kind of why I set up the shop that I'm in right now, is to be able to interact with customers, to provide customers the guidance. I think weighting can be a big question mark. What weight is right for me? And there's many different answers based on, how you dive, what kind of wetsuit you wear, what depth, what experience level do you have? What are you in saltwater or freshwater? There really is so much that can go into weighting properly. And so I wanted to give that environment where people can walk in and have that human interaction, instead of trying to guess at it, which is what I did when I was a new diver. I had no clue about anything. So I would just look at what other people were doing and just kind of be like, okay, so I have to go do this. And, you figure it out eventually. But I didn't want to leave that question mark. And my biggest passion, I think right now that we've had the shop open for a couple months, our manufacturing has been in process for 14 months now. My next kind of mission is, how do I continue to provide products that can help change the market for divers and just the ease of finding equipment, but also for women. I wanted to create a space that women can walk into, and it's, we have wetsuits that can be tried on. We have belts that can be tried on in the shop. We have somebody that can help you with weighting and answer those questions. We have someone that can also give feedback to brand partners when there's improvement that needs to be made on a product. Maybe it's 95% there, but there's some 5% feedback that divers want to provide. I want to create that space for community. And so that's kind of what my biggest mission is right now.
I love that. And I also love that it's called Buoy Teak. It's literally perfect. Um, the perfect name because Bright Buoy. But I
Yeah,
think that
little
something
play
like
on
that,
words.
yeah, something like weights for free diving is confusing. Like I remember, because I mean, to be honest, the first time we went to Mexico was the first time I went free diving. Granted, I was, training and going swimming and like all this other stuff, but to find the right like weights and balance and all of those things can be very confusing. And I think that the next time I go free diving, I will definitely have one of your belts too, because I bought like a really cheap one and it was like cutting up my fingers and stuff, and it was already starting to corrode in the water. And I had only used it once. So I think that that just goes to show also that purchasing like a good material that you're not just going to blow through is also really important too. But I love that people can have a space to go to your shop and like like you said, kind of like knock out that confusion of like, okay, what kind of belt am I going to wear, how is it going to look with this wetsuit, and obviously like the thickness of the wetsuit, then how much am I going to need to have weight wise. So there are a lot of different things that go into that.
Absolutely. And I think as a new diver, you overbuy, right? Because you think you need everything. And I think if there's everything in one place, and we are not necessarily a dive shop here, but we are able to serve the female dive community in providing the most important pieces that they may need, but also to provide guidance. There's a lot of great dive shops here in Oahu, and they have amazing products, and we can help kind of listen to what their needs are and connect them to the right place to find what they're looking for. If it's not here, for fins and some of the other elements that we don't carry, just those partnerships that we have with the amazing dive partners on island, just it kind of brings the whole process just a little bit less intimidating for people.
Yeah.
And I was intimidated. So my whole goal is just to never intimidate. New divers are so special. And they're in this, place of strength because they're willing to go and try this new thing that can be daunting. So that experience I just want it to be the best, most easy thing for them, and not to stress on the equipment side, which can be overwhelming because they're already overcoming something that can be such a big obstacle and a personal thing for people mentally. So yeah, I just when I hear a new diver walk through my door that they're brand new, it's just the most inspiring part for me. I love those conversations, and I love that place in someone's life when they're just kind of opening that door, because diving can really change your life.
Yeah. And no better person to come from than somebody that knows their shoes, right? Like that you only just started a couple years ago, and to be able to give that support and be on this amazing journey of, making really beautiful, durable, like, and also just like fun to wear products, like I'm so proud to know you and to have gotten to like met you and your sister while we were away. It's just been like really lovely connecting with you, and also like, other women business owners. It's just like amazing to see, also like how fast you're going, like you're really figuring it out, and it's just so beautiful and amazing.
Back at you.
Oh, thank you so much. What would be your best piece of advice for new divers, new free divers that you could give?
Yeah. I think it's to reach out to community, and there are divers out there that will help you through every step. It's also from a safety perspective to,
Right.
just like I did in the beginning of our conversation, and say, let me go find a lead expert before I just start like melting lead and lighting up the fire, I've tried to seek advice. I would just say the same thing. The
Yeah.
community, I was intimidated to, and I think I was in a place where I was scared to ask for help. It's just the personality flaw, I guess I have, where it's like, I don't want to ask people, I don't want to burden them. So I didn't want to ask for people to come show me how to do this, or hey, I've never done X, can you come with me? But what I learned is it's the opposite. The community will wrap their arms around new divers. In fact, it's our duty to
Yeah.
take people under the wing, and just, if we've all been there, we all started from that same place, you know, and maybe different places of why we got there, but we've all started as a beginner. So I just think it's really our duty in the community to help new divers, and I have found this community to just be so inspiring, and they are everything. And if there's ever something that I'm just so grateful for, it's the community friendships that I now have. It's the expertise that, you know, even though I've been diving for 2 years, I don't consider myself some highly talented diver by any means, but I have a lot of people in the community that I know that are. And that
Yeah.
constant learning and engagement with these people, it's so inspiring. And I really find that divers are fearless in a lot of ways, and they're willing to be vulnerable. So I really think that would be my one piece of advice. Don't be afraid. Just get out there, get on the group chats, join the Facebook groups in your area, and the dive community will always try to help.
That's so beautiful. And yeah, I think that I also felt a lot of that too when we were on our trip. You know, I was obviously a beginner. I hadn't done it before, but everyone was really supportive, like around me, very helpful. So I love that that's like the advice, because you know what, we all like you said, start from somewhere, right? We all start from learning, and don't let that get in the way of, you know, doing something that you would think that you'd really like to do. You know, we're only here for a short time, and even shorter, like I think our physical health, to get out there while you can, and to connect with nature in a really amazing way. And I think that there's something about going underwater and seeing all of these beautiful creatures, and you know, like you said too, it's kind of like the fear, right? Like there's like a fear of being like what's underneath you. Like divers have kind of like this fearless aspect of like, okay, I'm gonna get under there, and I think that the curiosity pulls you more than the fear.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think what you just said, I'm just plugging in real quick.
That's
What you
okay.
just said is so important too. You know, I think that the sharing that experience and seeing these animals that you were defining earlier in our discussion, where it's like, wow, I was right next to an orca. And
Yeah.
these things, you just connect. If that's what your passion is marine life and the ocean, you'll find this group of people that share that same passion, and it's just so cool. It's so cool to
Yeah.
find also these different layers of passion within that, right? Like you find people that are just so into dolphins, and their love for it is so beyond. And you listen to these people and you're like, wow, like you love dolphins more than anyone I've ever met. And it's just cool. It's so super inspiring. All the
Yeah.
different categories within like the passion for diving. So anyways, I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. And you know, also just to add, like when I was younger, I tried to surf by me, and then I didn't end up following through with it, actually, because I was also very scared. I was scared, like I was a good swimmer. I was actually on the swim team, so a little different from your fear, but I was definitely scared of like what I couldn't see underneath. So like big ocean and everything like that. And I think just like gearing up for this and like being with people that were like, you got this, when we were on that trip together, really broke my fear of underneath. I think it also probably helped having goggles and, being able to actually physically see what's underneath me. But I think that, a lot of people, when I told them I swim with orcas, they were like, were you scared? And I was like, I've never been not scared for anything in my whole life. I couldn't get in the water fast enough, to be able to connect and to experience this amazing rarity in life. I think that people don't always realize how much time and effort goes into even being able to witness a wild animal in the wild. I think that it's like such a beautiful thing, community, and being able to help others. And I love that there's people that have like their specific water niches, right? Like of like, I really love dolphins, or I really love whales, or something like that. The ocean is endless and I always say this about nature, it's just completely endless, the inspirations that, we can find there.
And I think there's different levels now. Like what I see changing in the industry a little bit is this openness, and different levels of diving and dive excursions. And like the dive excursion I'm taking my daughter on, for instance, it's not that you shouldn't be a good diver, or you don't have to be new to join this by any means, but they are just so open to having a newer diver or someone that might be at a certain level and customizing that dive trip to be a super supportive environment like you're talking about. And so Solmar was extremely passionate about making sure that Florence, my daughter, was in the right place. Number one, that she would be safe and that she would have the support needed to take her on this excursion. Sardine run can be extremely intense. So it's just making, I think that's what's kind of shifting in the industry is how do we cater? You don't have to be at this level to start, because that's just not where people start. And then
Making it
even
more
once
accessible.
more accessible. And once you're at that level, doesn't mean that you can't have an experience with people that might not be at that same level as you. It's just it should be open for all people to learn the structure and the skill set to be able to dive. And so I think there's little pockets of that being developed, even in excursions and things like that. So it's really cool to see.
And another plus side to that is when you open the door to making it more accessible to those people, is that you're going to bring people into nature and they're going to love and care about it. Because I think that there's something about experiencing and like being able to witness something that's like incredible and kind of not a lot of people get to see it, or it's like, like you said, you were traveling on land so much you didn't know what was going on in the water, and then when you see like, oh my god, this has been this magic happens underwater, like I have to witness it, right? Like being able to experience that, I think it just fuels people's passions too for wanting to protect it. So I think there's a lot of benefit to making it more accessible to people.
I think you're right on with that. And the passion that you're defining and the cause of keeping our oceans clean and taking care of the animals and respecting them, like that is a contagious passion. And so what you're saying is so right, because when I'm around somebody that like knows a whole lot about reefs, right, and how to keep reefs more alive, and I listen to them and learn from them, kind of like what you're saying, it's like I catch the bug and I want to now live my life to contribute in a way that doesn't harm the reef. So you are right on, and I think that's so beautiful.
Yeah. And I love that that's what you're doing with helping with like the recycled materials as well. Like, and then also adding that to products that last long. So they kind of stay out of the environment now. It's like they kind of have a permanent home exploring the reef with somebody, or like exploring the ocean with somebody as a dive weight. I just absolutely love what you're doing. And I appreciate you coming on the podcast. And I want you to be able to tell everybody where they can.
And I love this kind of platform. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And obviously I'm just glad to connect with you whenever. And I know you're a busy woman, so taking the time out of your day to come on, I really appreciate it. Let people know. Oh, love you. Love you. Let people know where they can connect with you, they can shop with you, all that good stuff.
Yeah, so you can find our shop in Kailua if you're on island or if you're ever visiting Oahu. Come right in. It's kind of a hunt to find our actual manufacturing facility, but we have a manufacturing facility below me where we make all of our products, and then above is this little boutique that I'm working in and talking to you in today. So you can always come right upstairs and find us in Kailua. But a lot of our products are ordered and shipped online. So we built a whole user-friendly website at brightbuoydiving.com. If you DM us on Instagram, you're getting me behind the DM. So I will talk to anybody, answer any questions, and just try to find your answer, whether it's with us or with someone else that can help you. But yeah, I talk to divers all day, so feel free to chat with us on Instagram. But you can shop online or just fly to Hawaii. Come in our shop, I welcome that to everywhere. Come on over. Just, you don't need to show up to work on Monday. Just come on over.
Jump in the water.
Yeah. We'll take you out. We'll take you diving this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And I'll make sure to link everything below so it's easily, easily accessible for people to click and, click and to follow. And I can't wait to get my belt eventually, belt and weights and stuff too. So yeah, well, I love you. Thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. And thank you, Wild Ones, for listening. We'll catch you on the next one. Bye.
Flowing to the sea, I feel the energy of life force flowing all through me, and I'll allow it all to dance with my body.